Hey there, Living Kinetics Wolfpack. Raph King back again with you today. We are doing another stellar interview with one of our favorite people. Please, my friend, introduce yourself. Tell them what you do.
My name's Alex Morris. I go by Shihan here at the dojo, at the studio, and I teach martial arts to families in the Tri-City area. We're located out in Prescott Valley, and we teach 5 days a week, and we also offer classes and ranging from self-defense to little Mighty Might programs and cardio kickboxing and even teaching for Yavapai College. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, this guy, thanks for being on the show, by the way. This guy stays busy. We've done plenty of massage in here before. I've even been lucky enough to do video for him. We've been out to the Kishindo games to be able to help out the athletes there. And I have to say, this place is legit. If you've been watching Living Kinetics videos, you know both Linda and I have some martial arts background. So meeting up with a guy like this is fantastic, especially because you're not just skilled at what you do, you're a good guy. Like, you're just a genuinely good person. But let me ask, just for everyone out there who's kind of wondering about the school and everything, what's the biggest motivator for getting a student in here, a kid in here? Why would I want to bring my child here?
Well, I would say everyone gets them in here for different reasons. Me personally, I was really athletic just coming up, and I needed a way to burn off some energy, and I really wanted to be just like Bruce Lee, and Ninja Turtles and all that. So sometimes that's the kids' motivation, and that they seek us out, and sometimes it's the parents' motivation to get them in there to give them some discipline, respect, just build some life skills for the kids, and so they're doing something other than sitting on the couch playing video games, and so that kind of thing. But as far as why I think parents ought to get their kids in is just the laundry list of life skills and character development that it has for these guys. I've had students who've gone on to do some pretty awesome, amazing things that surpasses any of my achievements even, and I'm just proud to say when I get letters back from those guys, thanking for not taking it so easy on them, and helping them get through those obstacles that you encounter along the way in martial arts. That's kind of helps develop who they are as a person, and what kind of drive and discipline that they put in their everyday life.
Absolutely. Would you say that's probably the biggest factor of it, is that drive that you can kind of contour and make a bigger piece of someone's life? Is that like the bigger part of it, you'd say? I never know. I feel like it's different with every student. Yeah.
I feel like, it's going to take the weaker areas of a person and start to develop those areas as a strength. And so, for some people it might just be balancing their hectic schedule, or some kids, they might be lacking some strength in their body, so it develops a strong body, develops a strong mind, and it'll sort of, for the kids who are more introverted, it sort of helps bust them out of their shell a little bit, and for kids who are a little bit more outgoing or even aggressive, it tends to tone them down a little bit, chill them out,
Absolutely.
And it's a kind of a humbling experience. So,
I have been in here before, and I've kind of seen the almost like family dynamic here, where you have, like you said, kids that are introverted, get invited to be a part of a group, but then within that same group, there's rules. You can't be, overly aggressive, overly rambunctious or anything. So, I mean, I've been able to personally see here in this dojo how kids level out, and what a wonderful environment it can be. I've also seen it get tough sometimes. I've also seen Alex here put on the mean guy face and really tell it how it is. Tell us a little more about that. When does that have to happen?
You know, I think that with different people, you have to deal with them differently, you know, and some people don't respond to attaboys and being patted on the back and you know, super constructive praise all the time. And some people, they kind of need that more of a militant, you know, drill sergeant type of mentality if they're going to pull their heads out of the clouds and, you know, be able to get something done. Sometimes we're not our own greatest motivators, and so people seek us out because we're able to take you to a level past your comfort zone and allow you to push that threshold day by day. So
it's awesome. That's awesome. Tell me a little bit about your background. How long have you been doing martial arts for? You know, we talked a little bit about when you were competing and stuff, but feel free to tell me anything and everything.
I started when I was 6. Actually, it was on my 7th birthday, so I'd have to say 7. So 24, and I'm going on my 25th year now of
quarter century. That's awesome.
just consistent training. We were a family of martial artists training down. I actually started off training in Wickenburg, Arizona, and we would drive from Congress, and even at one point we were driving back and forth from Peoples Valley to Wickenburg to receive our training.
All right.
And you know, I was wanting to do sports and all of that, so even at one point we were traveling back and forth 3 times a day so that I could do soccer and I could do my martial arts and school and all of that, you know. And so I never let sports get in the way of my chosen lifestyle, and it was something that I had to earn, you know. Everything along the way was something that was agreed upon, and without my parents helping back me and not allowing me to quit, I think I probably would have quit, you know, quite a few times. And so, you know, I kind of owe all that to parents who were holding me to my commitments and, you know, making me aware that, you know, a quitter never wins and a winner never quits.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we started, I teach Shinpu-Ren. It's a Okinawan hardstyle karate, but it's also kind of a blend of martial arts. We take a big stand with Bruce Lee's concept of take what's useful from all the different arts, you know, and it's all suited to the individual, you know. Everyone kind of has their own style. We're all different. Our body types are different. And what works for one person might not work as well for the next.
Absolutely.
So we teach a range of aggressive and passive styles for different situations and try to teach the students a strong understanding of discretion and when's the right time, when's the wrong time to be using their art. You know, not to be going out and using it on people, and you know, we try to also instill some values in terms of leadership in the community, so we make that part of their training as far as, you know, getting involved with the community, you know, and going out and picking up trash and whatever, you know, we can do to help those who've helped us.
Absolutely. And if you want to see any more of that, make sure you check out their Facebook page, because I've seen plenty of your posts where you're getting the kiddos out there, making a positive impact on the community. I think it's cool seeing that part of the training so emphasized, that leadership part where getting out and making a difference. But let me ask you, is there a time in the past 25 years where you've had to use your training in kind of a sketchy situation? You know, someone wanted to hurt you, someone wanted to do harm. How did you retaliate?
You know, I've been in my fair share of altercations, and I would have to say that the number of times that I've used my karate, it's almost been every day that I've used my karate, but in terms of actual fighting, it's been very limited, very small number of times that I've had to use it. And the times that I have, I believe it's saved me. Even a few times it's saved me from what could have been an early demise. And but it's also, you know, it's a learning experience of understanding not to put yourself in those situations, and, you know, taking measures precautionary or preemptive measures to make sure that you're not stepping into those types of situations. And so oftentimes I've been able to de-escalate, using some verbal judo, and they tend to oftentimes end up apologizing, which is kind of cool. When you the Japanese, they have a word called mushin, or empty mind, is using the least amount of force, the way of least resistance, and being able to use the most appropriate action in any given situation.
Yeah.
Whether it be mental or verbal or physical,
Yeah.
So as far as, getting into fights and things like that, I try to not put myself in those situations. And if I find myself in those situations, it's usually what I've noticed with myself is I end up trying to break those situations up. Oftentimes, if it's friends of mine who are getting into trouble or, things of that nature. But trying to reduce as much of that as possible. So
using actual violence as a last resort, like that's not the first step, right?
Yeah, I believe it all starts with your awareness, and being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, if your wits aren't about you and you're going into the social, don't get me wrong, I'm still human and I still go out and like to have a good time, and, like anybody else. We're striving for perfection, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're perfect humans. So as nobody is.
But so. the point being, with your daily training, you're taking active steps closer to that as best you can.
Yeah.
Not just standing in the same spot, right?
Yeah, I find that the dojo, just having this here is it's kind of like a petri dish. You get to really practice your art and your teaching and your skill sets and passing it along to people. But also it's teaching you how and when to censor yourself all the time, or not all the time, but knowing when the right time is.
Yeah.
And it teaches me to basically take what I learn in here and it follows me out the door. At least that's the goal,
Yeah.
I find I'm usually more calm in high intense situations. I try not to overreact. I don't overreact, I don't believe, as much as say the average Joe. I'm usually able to hold my ground and keep my cool.
Yeah.
And not just jump the gun.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what escalates a lot of situations. And if I could pass anything along to these guys, it would be to have a strong level of emotional intelligence, so that they're able to stay calm under pressure.
Yeah.
And stress, putting yourself in those situations, and working your way through them and understanding, facing that fear is the way to eliminate that fear, whether it be, being pinned on the ground or, having to hold your own in front of somebody who's swinging at you, So if you're exposing yourself to that on a regular basis, it no longer really scares you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Is that the one thing you would have changed going through your training, maybe getting to that point sooner? Or what would you have changed in the past 25 years?
Well, I think to answer the first question there, I think that I was exposed to a lot of it, throughout my training. A lot of the guys who trained us most of the black belts were all ex-military, and were also training in various different martial arts besides our chosen art.
Mm-hmm.
So it has kind of a militant, regimented background to it, even though it is a traditional art. And what we're, as far as when you get to your black belt, the training doesn't stop. Mm-hmm. And so I still go out and I still seek to find people who can, wrap me up or beat me up or choke me out, and take what I learn and bring it back and redeliver it to the students. as far as changing anything, I think that we're always in a state of change, and we're always improving and evolving our art. And you know, I make changes every day.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess I wouldn't change a thing, you know, except to get people to realize that if they're not changing in their progress and in their art and in their system, and if it feels like you're at a plateau, you know, or you're not progressing and you're practicing it the same way all the time and nothing's changing, then you're going to get stagnant. And so you need to mix it up. You need to find new ways of going about doing these things to enhance the quality and effectiveness of your system, whether or not, you know, you're the student or you're the teacher.
Yeah.
So,
what is that a big? Do you find that as a big contributing factor as to why people quit? Is because of that stagnation? Because they don't feel like they're making the progress, or are there other bigger reasons out there?
that's very possible. I'm sure it's a huge contributing factor, you know, that people don't feel like they're progressing oftentimes. I think we are in a society of people who consider their goals and aspirations something that they need to attain immediately. Kind of like, we call it popcorn microwave results, you know. Stick me in the dojo for a couple days and boom, I'm a black belt. So, you know, the first 4 years I started training, those flew by, it seemed like, and I noticed that I didn't really, for me, I didn't feel like I advanced the most until after black belt, until after I started teaching and started giving back, and so I would say that there's lots of reasons why people quit. Sometimes life just gets in the way.
Yeah.
People, I think, are easily defeated, you know, and sometimes that has to do with what's going on at home and how the parents, what type of parents they have. You know, a lot of parents will allow their kids to quit things before they've reached their goal and honored their commitment. And I think that's a great way to develop their child into a habitual quitter. So,
Yeah.
You know, that's something that, and not all martial arts are created equal. You know, what takes you down the road at what, you know, anywhere you see McDojos on every corner where they're producing black belts faster than they can keep up with what's happening. They're constantly giving them away, you know, and they're not having to earn it. And so there's a lot that goes into what we do in terms of getting a black belt, you know, and
I've seen it.
It's not for the weak at heart, I wouldn't say. And I think that, you know, we want to make sure that we're not just strapping those on people and sending them out into the world, and making sure that they know how to block a punch, you know, making sure that they know how to actually do something, you know. And so I feel that, you know, you see other martial arts, it might take you 8, 10, 12 years to get a black belt, you know, and their training is different, and there's a lot more that goes into it. So like I said, not all arts are created equal, but I think they're all good for their intended purpose at the distance in which they were created to defend against.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a matter of distance and range. If you look at mixed martial arts, it's, you know, a combination of all of those things. And, you know, if you're not well-rounded, then going into an arena like that, you're going to get handled, right? And so you've got long-range tools, short-range tools, and different arts address those different ranges, and they just specialize in that particular range. But I think all of them are equally important because you're going to use all of them possibly at any point in a fight. So, and as far as self-defense, a lot of people go, oh, I want to learn self-defense, but I don't want to take martial arts. Then I think they're mistaken. That's the backbone of martial arts, is self-defense. And however, you will get some schools who don't really teach a lot of that. They don't teach a lot of the verbal judo or the how to posture yourself in a situation, what to say.
Well, why do you think that is, that they don't touch on that as much as you would?
They might either be a little bit more geared more towards sport.
The tournaments and competing.
Competing, getting ready for a championship, that kind of thing, more of a team-based type situation, or they, they might be so focused in their particular art form that they might even neglect some of the basics, like how to de-escalate, a confrontation, how to hold your hands, when you're dealing with something like that posturing and things like that. So it's, I don't know why they wouldn't, because I think that it's the responsibility of a martial arts school to definitely go there.
Well, I'm sure it comes back to the McDojo complex, right? Like some of these schools just might not even know what they're missing when they teach.
As long as they can lock you into a contract and as long as you pay all your dues on time, then you'll continue to go up in rank as long as you show up.
And you're a good student if you can pay, right?
Right. As long as you pay on time, we're not going to have any problems. And, they get filtered through like cattle. And it's kind of a blind following of trying to produce a franchise type situation, where the one in charge is the one that reaps the benefits. But one thing I admire about what we do is we don't do contracts. Everybody who trains here wants to, month to month. We have lowest prices. I don't care what you say. It doesn't matter who's out here in this area. We have the most value for what you're getting as far as bang for your buck. Our classes aren't super short. They provide you enough time to actually learn something with each session. As I said, we don't lock you into those long contracts and have to sue our students.
Awkward, by the way.
Which is pretty awkward, yeah. And what we don't go out and hire people off the street to come in and teach, which I've seen at schools. They'll go out and they'll recruit people to come in and start learning just how to teach people and make them instructors, in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And so all of our instructors that are here, we've known them for a really long time, and we've brought them up all the way through the ranks, and they had to earn every bit of each rank, and whether they're teaching the little guys, our student instructors who teach the little guys often are the parents of those little guys who are out there training with them on the floor and helping guide and foster and bring them up. Some of the instructors I admire deeply because they're fathers of their own, they're dads, and they're also teachers who have come in from other establishments, like with Yavapai College. We've got a couple black belts, one with the college and one with the high school, who teach different sciences and allied healthcare and all of that. So it's cool to have people who know anatomy and biology and things like that, and who have that extra voice. So it's not always the same instructors who are teaching you all the time. You kind of get that variety when they come in and help out on the floor.
But they're basically built into the school. Like it sounds like anyone who's going to be at the front of the class is like an integral part of what it is here. It's not just Joe Schmo getting paid a few bucks to come up to the front of the class.
We don't pay them at all, actually. Our instructors, in exchange, they teach, and for the exchange, they receive continued education through Yavapai College and our Black Belt Club program.
It's amazing.
So they're getting to learn another art form, and continue their Black Belt training, just as long as they're coming in once in a while and helping teach our students with what they've already been given.
It's incredible.
So that's the exchange.
That's awesome. Let me ask you this though. If you had ultimate power in the martial arts industry. You know, over all parts of it, you were just the karate god, right? What changes would you want to see made anywhere?
Wow. I think that education is probably most important in getting everyone to understand what's legitimate and what's not, based on, you know, where karate has come from. There's many different styles and types of karate, and what I really hate seeing is I hate seeing people get scammed by a lot of would-be martial artists. I've heard of people who've never made black belt, went out and bought a black belt and forged a certificate and opened up a school when they moved to a different state or whatever.
Wow.
You know, a lot of these same people up and leave their school and leave all of their students high and dry when they decide they're going to just take off and move somewhere else.
Wow.
You know, and so I would say that if there's some things that are not within your control, and I don't believe anyone really has that degree of control over any of that. Mm-hmm. But I would like to see that change. I would like to see, based off of, you know, good martial artists who do put out good content, to be able to educate people so that they understand what it is they're getting into.
Yeah.
You know, and that they're able to find a place with a good instructor who has a strong lineage, you know, and is not just trying to steal their money.
Yeah.
You know, and I hate seeing that happen to a lot of people because it puts a bad taste in their mouth for the martial arts. And I think it's come a long way. I don't think people quite understand the difference between traditional karate, modern karate, and sport karate, mm-hmm. and they're all very different.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that if they knew what it was they were getting into in that regard, just in terms of karate, they would have a better idea of where they're going,
yeah.
right? And they'd be able to work with the end in mind and know that they're not going to get bored and quit after a little while. I think that people underestimate the amount of work that goes into it, mm-hmm. and oftentimes, you know, they won't fulfill their end of their own deal, you know, the discipline aspect of it. That's why it's called a discipline.
Exactly.
You know, and then they lose interest slowly but surely when they don't practice, and they get bored and eventually they quit.
Yeah.
You know, and so I see that more often these days than I did in the past. I'm seeing it more and more with a lot of people. Mainly because, you know, people's attention spans have dropped. I think that if I were to change anything in the karate world, you know, it would be to just try and get that aspect across to people. You
Yeah.
know, to do their homework. You know, research before they get into it. Right?
Yeah.
And maybe even shop around. It's like, I might not be the instructor for you. You know, you might enjoy a different art form, and I'll usually question people, what are you looking for? Because I can then direct you to the right person.
It's not a one size fit all, right?
Yeah, as far as the martial arts community, you know, there's room for everyone. And you know, there might be someone who specializes in something down the road, and I'll a lot of times refer them to those guys. You know, I don't consider them competition. I consider them a friend in the martial arts.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask, where can my clients find you at, my man? What's a good number to reach you at? What's a good website to go to?
We're at PrescottKarate.com. We're located in Prescott Valley at 6570 East 6th Street, Suite A. It's right across from the Family Moose Lodge. Tucked away, we're right behind the post office. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, make sure you check this guy out and his school. I highly recommend them, and I think you're going to get a lot out of knowing who this guy is. So, hey, thanks for hanging out and watching with us today. If you need to get a hold of him, his contact information should be up on the screen. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for hanging out, my man.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Hey, appreciate it.
Take care, everyone.